we live?
Almost.
Okay.
Just thinking.
I should be glorious.
Almost.
Okay.
Just thinking.
All right. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for being here. It's been a month or two since we last met, so I'm glad we're taking time to meet. That is the welcome. Before I do our call to order, actually, I'll do that after our call to order. We have two new members that I want to recognize today. So I'll start with myself, Josh Kay. I'm present. Charles Weathers. Here. Kirk Sund. Here. Alan Pollock. Here. Rory McManus. Not here. Kiana Chase. Not here. Lori Miller.
Here.
Ernesto Toskovich. Not here. Angie Oven.
Here.
Scott Hosner. Here. And Eddie Z.
Here.
And with that said, we have these two new members. Scott Hosner, why did you decide to join the Downtown Advisory Board?
Put me on the spot. Well, I have lived in downtown for 7 years, and live in the Rivers condominiums, so I'm the HOA chair there as well. So have that ownership of that property and that commitment to downtown, that I love living in, and also own a business just outside of downtown, but we do a tremendous amount of work in the city forest convention center as well. So just very invested in the health of our downtown and our community. Of
Thanks for being here.
course.
Eddie Zapian, why did you join the Downtown Advisory Board?
Well, I'm a fan of downtown. No, I have my office is downtown at 105 Liberty. We're almost about to open, almost finished, dialing in some last minute things. And again, I am invested in the health and community of downtown Salem. Would love to see it do well and continue to thrive.
Thank you. Well, we appreciate you both being here. With that, agenda item number 3, the approval of our agenda.
Second.
Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the approval of our agenda say aye. Those not, nay. Motion carries. Moving forward to agenda item number 4, the approval of minutes from our July 24, 2025 meeting. What? Okay. And if there's no further discussion, all those in favor of the approval of minutes from July 24, 2025 say aye.
Aye.
Those not, nay. Motion carries. Moving forward, agenda item number 5, public comment. The appearance of persons wishing to address the board on any matter other than those which appear on the agenda. Is anyone here from the public today? Welcome.
Thanks. Not prepared to give a quote unquote public comment, but always prepared to introduce myself. I'm your Ward 1 city councilor, which includes a great portion of downtown. And just recently, the mayor shifted up assignments on the various committees that all the city councilors serve on. Ward 2 city councilor Linda Nishioka has been your city council liaison for some time. She's moved over to the bond committee, which meets at the exact same time, full time, and the mayor has asked me to represent the city council as the liaison to the city council for downtown advisory board. So you'll see me at these meetings when you meet on the 3rd Thursday, and always as your Ward 1 representative interested in hearing what's going on from your perspective in downtown. You can always reach me through my city email, generally better than my phone, to be honest. Start a conversation on email, but I'm really interested to hear from the Downtown Advisory Board about how things are going downtown. You know, I think the conversations, oh, sorry, I should talk to the men and women at the ships at sea. You know, just in terms of, there's a lot of conversations happening at city council. We're gonna be talking, you're gonna be talking today about the parking fund, about our safety and livability measures and things like that. So there's a lot of very critical, I think, inner ties that folks on the advisory board can bring to city council. And so I'll certainly be mostly in a listening position here, but also happy to take information back to the council as a whole. So, and for the record, I live downtown. Have lived downtown since I moved to Salem in 2015. By 4 houses, we're just south of D Street on Church, which is technically in the downtown neighborhood. So, but we've considered downtown part of our backyard, so happy to hear folks' perspective too.
I know where you're in tree. Any questions for Councilor Tigan? Well, as the designated warded counselor, really appreciate you being here.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Before we move into action items, which we only have one of, which is the date for our early December meeting. Ernesto, welcome. We'll let the record reflect Ernesto is now in the room and sitting down.
But standing.
Thank you, Tori. Ernesto, we just got things welcome. We're on action items or agenda item number 6. But we just welcomed Eddie and Scott as our new members of DAB.
Nice to meet you.
So I'm gonna stick my head down and I'm gonna read something before we get going. It's the Downtown Advisory Board Operating Principles, and I just wanted to read it, just for the record and for us. Eddie and Scott, when you got on board, I presume you got a packet, right? Like digital, this thick.
Electronic now.
Times.
If you print it, it'll be, you know.
Okay, we presume you've read every single word and
Every
every
page.
page. Okay. Well, I'm just gonna take a few minutes and just read this, so please bear with me, I didn't memorize it, but I'm just gonna read it, because I think it would be a good to refresh exactly what it means to operate. These are operating principles of the Downtown Advisory Board. So just bear with me while I read this out. The Downtown Advisory Board charge. Consistent with the intergovernmental agreement between the City of Salem and the Urban Renewal Agency for the creation of the Downtown Advisory Board, adopted on December 6th, 2004, and amended on August 31st, 2015, and August 22nd, 2016. The Downtown Advisory Board is charged with advising the Salem City Council on matters relating to the downtown parking district and parking fund, and advising the City of Salem Urban Renewal Agency Board on matters pertaining to urban renewal and tax incremental fund allocations for the Riverfront Downtown Urban Renewal area. Recommendations on policy and budget matters related to the downtown parking district and parking fund will be made to the City Council for consideration, deliberation, and action. Recommendations pertaining to policy, budget, and implementation of urban renewal projects will be made to the Urban Renewal Agency Board for consideration, deliberation, and action. And the second thing I wanted to talk about is DAB duties, and I'm just gonna read them as it states in the operating principle PDF, which is make recommendations to the agency board regarding policy issues related to the implementation of or amendments to the Riverfront Downtown Urban Renewal Area Plan. Tax increment fund allocations, including the priority, scope, and scale of urban renewal projects within the RDURA. Applications for federal and state funding for programs to be implemented in the renewal area. And monitoring and potential courses of action relating to state and federal legislation and programs affecting implementation of renewal project priorities. And last two things, make recommendations to the City Council regarding annual budget for the operation of the downtown parking district, including the rate of the ad valorem and business and occupation taxation viewed as necessary to finance the operation of the parking program during the immediately ensuing fiscal year. And lastly, make policy recommendations to City Council on the operation of the downtown parking district, including tax assessment methodology and general strategies for downtown parking management. So I just wanted to read that. We've never read it out, and we have demonstrated in the record over the years, and I just have 2 DAB meetings remaining of my tenure, and I'll be sad to go, but I'm still gonna have my office in downtown. But I am really proud of the work that DAB has done to actually get to the point of paid parking. And I know some people don't agree with that, but I think what we're seeing and watching play out is a very successful program. And it's only gonna be as successful as the revenue going towards the thing that are priorities, which we're gonna get into today. So I just wanna say that, and thanks for being here. And let's get back on to our agenda, because that was absolutely not on the agenda, so thank you.
Second for the comments.
Thank you, Ernesto. Okay, agenda item number 6, action items. Let's find a date that works for the early December meeting.
I believe last time you met the second, so that would be the 11th, second week of December. Ready to meet the first week of December, would be the 4th. And this is because meeting for DABs for Thursday will conflict with Thanksgiving and Christmas. So
Is everybody pulling out their calendars?
So we're going in November, and just making it early December. Okay.
So December 11th.
4th or 11th, that if you want to keep it on Thursday. Different day, but that would be consistent.
Do the 4th or 11th not work for anybody?
And I'm telling
As am I.
Yeah.
To this one.
On the 11th?
I think I'm all for on the 11th.
Sounds
It's
like
an important meeting too, because you'll do the chair, vice chair, you'll start budget discussion, so.
Let's see if I can remote turn if that works.
on the
I mean, we
4th.
can do virtual too.
Yeah, it might be on the coordination.
Does anybody have a conflict for the 4th? I do really appreciate you accommodating.
Okay, I might be back in town by the 4th. I'll check my calendar. Either way, I'll make it a priority.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
And there will be a Zoom option.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'll let you know for sure.
Okay.
Okay, so it's the 4th then.
As soon as you take action.
yeah, let's call that for a motion, if somebody would.
I'll move to make the meeting December 4th, at the regular time, in the regular place. Second.
All right, any further discussion?
Can it include cookies?
Yes, the official amendment to the motion.
I mean.
All right, I'm calling it to a vote. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor of approving the December DAB meeting for the 4th, say aye.
Aye.
Does not nay. Motion carries. Thank you, everybody. Agenda item number 7, information reports. A, information on Salem Main Street Association meetings and the city pilot program resolution 2025-22 for a safe, clean, and healthy Salem. Dana and Tori and all. We have the floor.
Conversation too. Want to kick off or you gonna have Kristen? So this goes back to, there's been a history or a few meetings tied to the Main Street organization. I haven't attended those, so feel free to
I
fill
can
in.
start, go ahead. Kristen can add all the others. So I think most of you may know that the Salem Main Street Association has been creating a listening session for the state of downtown. They've done 3 now. They started with June 18th. At the Opera House. That was, right in the middle of launching, getting ready to launch the paid parking. There was a lot of stress about that. But there's also safing police issues and questions, as well as the fire chief showed up too. So we had a kind of a panel and then a lot of questions there. Then in July, they had another meeting at YMCA. Still had some questions about parking, but really about safety. And then on October 1st, we were at the Elsinore. And parking finally was at, but not really the agenda. So, but really what we found is that people are starting to show up to participate in having a voice about what's working and what's not working in downtown, and talking to the leaders of the city. So it is being convened by the Main Street, and then asking particular people to be on panels. We are not the conveners. They're doing that, but it's growing in numbers. So that's kind of what the thing is, that's what we're doing. Any other comments, Kristen?
No, I'm just curious how many people in the room may have attended if you have the sessions.
Thoughts about it? How's it working? What people think?
I think it's great. I think it's gonna be interesting process and maybe not as smooth. But that's part of the process, so I'm very optimistic.
Seems a little bit of the. Say exactly, but like the agenda that is being presented. And then the commentary or questions. After. Are like disconnected.
Especially the last one.
Yeah, pretty sideways. So I don't know how to. You know, maybe that was heard from their side, that. Maybe we need to be a little bit more specific about what we're talking about, or broaden it so much to where. There's a lot more feedback that can be taken. To have a better kind of discussion around the next time.
No, they did do it, I wasn't able to be at it, but they did do a debrief, so. That's a good point, to ask our staff person, I think Derek might have made it to that, we do have a staff person who does attend their monthly board meetings, so at least we can kind of hear what's going on. Where we can connect.
This is something that. I don't know if their group can come to this to give us updates. As other organization in downtown that's.
We could invite them to.
Cause I mean, I do think that, you know, I. Say their heart's in the right spot, right? Like they wanna make downtown better and, you know, which is what we're all about too. So I think trying to have a little bit more, call it collaboration, but I don't know how that works or what that looks like exactly. Or it's just, maybe it's just awareness of what they're doing and what we're doing that. To me would be, seem to be a little bit more successful for. Getting it forward.
Well, I think we've got a couple of options. I think one, we could invite members of their board to, have one or two folks come and join the meeting. And have them on the agenda, or I think we could also look at maybe a kind of a joint meeting of their board and our board. And the larger bodies, and have it someplace else.
I would say we start inviting them, maybe two of them, just to make it simpler.
Do you want to have Derek reach out to them and invite them?
Yeah, I mean, let's just start with once, see how it goes.
Main Street has come before Deb, and it was more to. Kind of let us know about the Christmas parade, and then I think they came back to tell us how it went. And it was really exciting, and we did at the time tell them, please come back, because we want that feedback to come from Main Street Association. I mean, and they recently just feels like they've really been catalyzed. In a big way. And so we wanna be, I think we're all saying the same thing to an extent, we wanna be constructive and hopeful. But it gotta be a two-way street, I think there's value in this board with insights and with our operating charter too, to help. So I think it's just a matter of a will for them to want to.
Is this something they're doing like on a consistent basis moving forward, and how are people supposed to know when these things take place? Like, I got a random text once, it's the night before, like, I'm like, on.
Yeah,
Right.
honestly, that's how I found out too this last time, so I don't.
That is a great question.
And stuff.
I don't know that they have future meetings planned. I haven't heard of any additional ones coming up. They have had the 3, and I don't know if they had those three to kind of gather momentum for the package that it just went through council, and now that that's happened, they're going to, move into more the operational side of things. They've received some private funding that they're going to use for some cleaning services. So now that that's all occurring, I don't know, they might not be bringing community together anymore, or maybe they'll do it less frequently as they're moving into the action mode. I'm not sure.
I know I talked to Derek and he's always looking for names. I asked him to be added to the list and next time I got the name. So they're very open.
Is there a secret handshake or something?
They're acting in good faith, like, hey, if you want to be added to the list, let us know. And
But the general public, I guess, is wondering. Is it not open to the general? I mean, the Ellsworth's a big place.
It is open.
I think it's open, but I think
Business.
it's downtown businesses. This is not like
Not open.
open forum. It's, interest group for people who have interest in downtown. That's my understanding. I'm not.
It's a good point, though. I do think it would be good for a point place where if you want to get the word out about something going on down, either for us or for Main Street, that there could be a place where you have an email list, some kind of way of connecting to people. So, I can absolutely have that conversation with Derek, and like, how do you get on the list other than just having to know Derek? I think it would be a good way to figure that out. So good fun.
A social media page too, of Salem Main Street, and historically Carly Wright, I think, was running that page. I don't know that they're paying her to do that anymore, so I mean, I was involved in the Main Street leadership before joining this team, and I know that they've had a good constructive change in leadership, so there's some really great momentum. My feedback would be, it really takes consistency. It would really be a shame if they didn't do more meetings, because particularly in downtown, it takes a long time to build the trust. And I think they're still moving in the right direction, but I'd hate to see them not keep moving. But Derek needs a team for sure. So.
Hosting public meetings is hard.
Yeah.
There's.
Counselor?
Yeah, just for a little bit of perspective too, from the council's position, and also you should be thinking about this, new members of this board. I think one of the reasons that it was switched to a public meeting was so that more than 4 members of the city council could attend and not violate our ethics obligations under OGEC rules, which this board is also required to follow. So just note that, if you haven't taken your OGEC training within the last year, I would suggest you do it again. Because the rules about what kind of conversations the board can have outside of public meetings have become much more restrictive. As you've seen, the city council get engaged in the newspaper. It's more than just that little issue. It's about all the conversations that we have that could come before us in terms of deliberation. The sorts of things that are talking about at Main Street, interest in the parking fund, what that's going to be used for, just as Josh just read to you, that is the business of this deliberative body. And so you really need to make sure that when you're interacting with people about it, you're doing it in a way that doesn't violate OGEC rules. And because I'll just give you a personal advice about it. Whenever there's new funds coming in and lots of people have a lot of interest in how those funds are spent, the likelihood you're going to be in a lot of conversations about it increases. So you just have to be really cognizant of those rules. And so to bring a couple members of that body here and talk about it in an open public meeting like this is the right way to go.
Great point. Thank you. And we do training on an annual basis. We bring somebody in, so we are, that is, legal. So it is fixed on our calendar, but really great points.
Yes, you just don't want to forget it.
Yes, never.
I was gonna ask it late in the presentation about the parking funding, but you mentioned it about the donation that came in to help with downtown cleaning, which I saw was on our priority survey thing is one of the higher ones. Could you explain to us how that works, doesn't work, is the same, replaces whatever with what our task is, and take the money that we're now getting and look to apply it to the downtown?
We're still sorting through that, trying to figure that out. Okay, so the funding that they received and the actions that they're taking are very independent of what we're doing. I've had a couple of conversations with TJ about this. I provided him with the scope of work for our downtown clean team. Just out of concern that we want to maximize those resources and not do anything that's a duplication of what we already have going on. What we can't do with our clean team, and what would be very difficult for us to do as well if we expand our own services, is do any cleaning on private property. So the doorways where people might be camping or leaving trash or vomit or whatever, we can't do that, right? But that's a great space and function for this other team, you know, to get those permissions and for them to do that work. We've talked about timing and the schedule a little bit. You know, they want to get out there early in the morning around 6 o'clock. And I have not seen their scope though, in terms of exactly, you know, what they're going to be cleaning. I just shared what our gaps are in terms of hazmat, biological substances, and locations and things that we're not able to do. And that if, you know, if they're interested in our input, prioritizing those services and those locations would do the most to add capacity to our existing services.
Which were added to, thanks to the council action on October 13th, so it's a good segue. During their meeting, they, as part of the resolution and the agenda item, they dedicated additional staff, so funding for 2 police officers, dedicated to help with downtown efforts.
And to our district, where those are not exclusive to downtown.
Okay, and it's Northeast Salem too, so it's both. So additional resources regardless, so. And then overtime and contracting for the clean services, and then 2 seasonal employees. For kind of the mental health support on the EMT side, so.
Does the cleaning services private enterprise?
Well, it's a
Acquired by the
private
city,
enterprise.
or the cleaning services?
Yes. Well, there's a clean service team, right?
So the SOS team.
Yeah.
Which is the team that focuses on cleaning up homeless camps.
Okay,
So we have,
So
we have a
we're-
downtown clean team
Yeah.
that's contracted and then a city services team,
okay,
citywide.
the city employees, right?
Right?
Yes, yeah. And
Okay,
then as we move into budget development for next year in the forecast. Our finance department is, you know, we're contemplating expanding our own services as well to include. Power washing sidewalks, doing alley cleaning, maintaining the landscaping that's going in downtown. So those are the services.
Kristen, just to clarify, our clean team is a contracted,
Yes, yes.
and then SOS is staffing for the city.
Gotcha.
And then who's cleaning the parking garages? Is that a completely different?
That's our
contract?
facilities.
That's facilities. So that's not subbed out. Okay.
They do for pressure washing, there is some cleaning.
But the
services,
daily
The daily facility.
Okay.
Is there still a portal or a phone number? There's a thing you just put in, and there's a big weird mess over in this corner.
There is.
I feel like when the website got changed, I had a hard time finding
Okay,
it. It still exists. so
It does
it's good.
still exist.
Okay.
So this contracted cleaning team, do they have like sign on the truck, like call this number? I've seen it in Seattle,
So
I
our,
think it's very useful.
yeah, so the downtown clean team they're not an on-call cleaning service. They have a route and specific
Oh,
hours.
they're not on, okay.
Yeah.
So if
The
you
S-
just, go ahead.
So, yeah, so that's the downtown clean team. The SOS team, the city staff, that's the group that through the portal where you can enter and they'll come out and respond and do cleanup.
Mhm. Okay,
So the only way to get the SOS team out is through that portal specifically. Okay.
okay, so the private team is just gonna come in every day and clean area by area, orderly fashion.
Yes, that's the team that we've had for several years. And then separately, we've got now this new team, the Main Street is going to be smoking up.
Okay,
I don't know if they're going to be on call or not. Again, I haven't seen their scope of services yet. I think they're still kind of putting all that together.
so they are organizing that separate.
Yes, yeah, that's, we have
You are
nothing to
not
do with that. We're not
wanting to go-
funding it. We're
Okay,
not a part of that.
yeah,
Other than, we hope to have communication so we can kind of integrate
yeah,
what we're already doing and what they're adding.
but they will have a right to clean other area, no different than you and I, if we see a trash, we can pick it up.
Yes, exactly.
Very good, that's very good.
So why is it being characterized as like a pilot program?
Temporary, so right now it's funded through this budget cycle. So as we go into the next budget cycle, that's when we'll have to, if it's being successful. There'll have to be an effort to dedicate specific funds on an ongoing basis to have it.
Got
And among those things, parking fund was discussed as one of the options, which was the priority for safe and cleanliness downtown, but just something.
Does currently be funded out of general fund then?
Right now it is, yes, Jim.
And
And there's also a proposed donation to the city that has not been accepted yet. And so I think that's another reason that it's under this pilot category
Got it.
is as we're figuring out the role of those funds.
So that's the donation of $600,000, right? For police.
No, that's from the
No.
general fund.
No, there's a general fund allocation, but there's separate donation. I don't know the amount of the proposed donation.
Okay,
But that won't be ongoing either, that's.
Right.
So, yeah.
So just, I guess my head is that you're waiting for the scope. And once you receive the scope, you see how that integrates with existing operational capacity and.
I may or may not receive a scope. Okay, this is completely their thing.
Wow,
Okay, so it would be a courtesy. None of it is coming through us. We
Right.
have no control over it. All we can do is ask for that coordination
mhm.
and share what we're doing and where we think the priorities are. But it's really a Main Street operation.
And I haven't seen the scope, but if you know, and then also there's the SOS and the clean team, are they all talking about the same like footprint? Because we're talking about the URA, we're talking about the 4x4
so
core.
the downtown clean team and the Main Street function, I think will largely be the same area. So the clean team can only function within the boundary of the parking district. Okay, and the Main Street group, they can function wherever they determine their boundary is going to be. So if they need to go a few blocks out, that's up to them. The SOS team is citywide and they respond to where there is a hotspot. So where there's an issue, could be downtown, could be out on Lancaster, could be out south. It just depends on where the need is.
Let's add a fourth one.
Yeah. There is a fourth.
Oh, no.
Excellent. Yeah.
the care team.
Oh,
I mean, I think what's so great about it, and I know I'm just here to observe, but there's so much going on that it's hard to keep track of. Sure. And that's a positive.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so that's really exciting. I think it's really important to put the Main Street effort aside. When you're thinking about the things that the city's trying to do, not that it's not important, but the SOS team expansion, the homeless services team expansion, the care team. Those are all city council decisions and city council funded. And then this one's over on the side, so if you're talking to people about it, just recognize that there's different pots of money going to different things.
And I think that shows that community is engaged, which is very interesting,
And
very optimistic.
And another piece of this, which isn't strictly downtown, but adjacent, is some changes in services at the Pringle parking garage that there is some issues there that Ernesto's very familiar with. We're having a consistent problem with folks that are racing through the parking garage, that are partying there throughout the evening, rubbing engines, having parties, all of these things.
Where's the problem?
So we have facilities has designed some improvements that will make it physically harder to do any drifting through the parking garage. We have the Pringle Urban Renewal Area has just under $700,000 of cash that's still on hand. That was set aside for future repairs and work in that area. We're gonna take some of that money. I'm gonna come to council in November to seek approval to use some of that for physical improvements within the parking garage as a barrier. And we are also going to do a pilot project to deploy robotic security within that parking garage as well, that will be remote monitored and able to contact security. So we can't use our downtown security to patrol that parking garage. But that with the robotic security, which comes at a much, much lower cost than having staff security, through the remote monitoring, if they identify an issue going on, then they can directly call police or call security to respond.
Are you talking the little robots or video screens?
Well, this big, it's a robot,
Yeah.
it's on tracks.
Yeah.
Moves around, they're using it out at, they're using it over in the mall.
Yeah, okay, now I've seen it. Okay.
Well, that's, so you mentioned that there's like 3 or 4.5, and we don't know Main Street, and they're kind of there, they're kind of not. Just thinking 4 months down the road and you're a business and you're like, I have a problem, who do I call? It's great, there's a lot of resources, but now there's too many cooks in the kitchen and I'm unclear who I would call right now. No problem. So when we ever sort of are overlapping these things, is there like one number?
Well, that goes back to Ernesto's point of, is there a hotline or do we have access to public advice
Even hearing-
portal?
You know, I was actually under the same impression that there was 2 new officers for downtown, but it's not just for downtown. Oh, great, there's all these good things, but it doesn't actually equate to what I thought was going to happen if I left business owner. Problem downtown.
But in my opinion, nothing better than non-competition, so this confusion might create like, hey, you call city, they don't respond, you call downtown people, they respond, check. I love it. Worst thing is when you have monopoly and one guy who's like, oh, I'm a busy.
Sure,
So
but if
I'm
there's 4
doing
levels of
it,
services
that's
from the
not
city,
that
I'd like them to be used, otherwise that's a total waste.
True, yeah.
So downtown clean team will never have a phone number. They're scheduled, they're not on call. To be determined whether or not the Main Street group has some sort of phone number or, you know, where they would respond to a call. And SOS, that we're expanding the capacity. And the access will be the same as it always has been through the portal,
Where's someone access the portal? Is that
through the city's website.
City's website, okay.
And I think, you know, we've got room to be able to promote that more.
Yeah, that'd be great, I think.
Does SOS team get sometimes calls that are not legitimate? They show up and there's nothing.
They'll usually do an investigation first, right? They'll before they
drive
send
by.
everybody out,
Okay,
they'll
great.
try and see what the issue.
And I assume
Because-
they're probably at capacity, aren't they?
They are, and also depending on the size of the camp, the location of camp, you know, it's not necessarily immediate. They usually have to post notices and then come back.
And they cannot go to state property, right?
Correct. I think the one way to think about it, Charles, is just the scale of the issue. HST and SOS aren't cleaning up individual messes downtown. They're triaging complaints on a weekly basis and going to very large encampments. SOS measures its cleanups by tons of garbage removed.
Yeah.
Not, bags. And so they really clean up the largest homeless encampments in the city. And we're expanding it to 7 days a week because no one believes it to be a 4-day-a-week problem. Right, and so we need to test whether by keeping on it 7 days a week, both from the services part, that's the HST, the homeless services team. And the SOS, the cleanup part, that hopefully by keeping on it 7 days a week, actually the number of complaints go down. Like that's the measure of success.
Yeah,
But you can always put in a call into the portal, but they're not evaluating those necessarily like on an hourly basis. They're planning out their work on a week for the reason that if they wanna move an encampment, they have to give people 48 hours notice.
And they do and have responded downtown, so Rite Aid, is there, that's,
I notified them and they're kind of this week.
Yeah,
So it's,
when Gretchen was in the, I mean, it's probably 2 years back, time flies, but wasn't there a different thing where it's like, hey, there's a big mess on the sidewalk in front of my doorway, and they were supposed to like put it in, did I always misunderstand that that was the SOS, was there a different one?
that's the SOS, they will respond to something like that if it's kind of above and beyond what the clean team can respond to, like if they're, 2 or 3 shopping carts that are abandoned, that kind of thing, they'll respond to that.
Okay.
If it's something with camped out.
What you say makes sense, yeah, they're busy doing the big stuff, I'm not gonna call them, but I thought there was a resource for a smaller mess. That's all.
Yeah, but if it's like somebody's left their, Subway and pizza boxes in your doorway, they're not gonna respond to that. But if it's something that's, bigger and more substantive, not gonna fit in a trash container, might be a hazmat, along those lines, I think.
They will do the hazmat?
Mhm.
Oh,
I understood it.
Well, they're not gonna come if somebody has, pooped in the alley, they're not gonna come and do that, right? But if it's like, and when they're out in camps, the bigger encampments where there are bigger issues, yes, they do hazmat cleanups.
we had like, it looked like a few garbage cans been turned over full of medical waste, and it was like a bunch of gloves and syringes and all this stuff, and ladies running the place were like, do we clean this up? And I was like, I wouldn't touch it, but a neighbor came by and did it for them.
Okay.
So that's why I'm just, make sure.
Yeah, that's
So we're not
kind
against
of
all.
a gray area, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Great dialogue. This is lively. Does anybody have any additional questions as it relates to 7A? Okay,
I think maybe. Next steps on it, like what could we anticipate as far as something coming back to this group to discuss further?
So I think the next opportunity here would be as we start getting into budget development and clarifying priorities, we'll come back with what's in our base expenses, right? Our existing security, existing clean team. And then look at with this new added revenue, the capacity we have to add additional services. I mentioned earlier, there are services that we're already forecasting will be included, including the pressure washing, alley cleaning, and the maintenance. But there may be discussions about even expanding security further. Expanding the budget for cleaning. So I think that's when we'll have had some time here to see what this Main Street group is doing and accomplishing, what the added capacity with SOS and policing, any benefits or impacts there. Then, January, when we really start getting into the meat of this budget development and recommendations, what additional you might want to propose.
So I'm recalling a discussion from years ago with Main Street, at one point they had asked, I think of this group, about donation to what they are doing with the downtown holiday decorations, I'll call it. At the time, we had no money, so that was an easy no. But now we're going to have money in the future. Is that something that is even available to consider? Or,
That would be an eligible use of these funds, flower baskets, those sorts of things. So when we did the community survey a year ago, the top priorities were security and clean. And then the beautification items were further down. So I think that's something that there's interest in, but it's just not at the top because people want it clean before they want sparkly lights.
Yeah.
So that doesn't mean that the beautification can't happen, you know, it certainly could. I think it's just, you know, which things are the greater priorities and do we want to focus on first? We've also provided grants in the past to Main Street when they were first getting started. You know, not big ones, you know, $5,000, something like that. I wouldn't be surprised if they may come in and ask for funding for an executive director at some point. So it's gonna be a much larger line item, but you know, that sort of thing would also be an eligible use of funds. Although we'd have to make sure we're following our procurement process.
Well, I think it will be important for downtown, so the city implemented parking, which a lot of people did not see favorably. But I think if we now can show significant improvement, you're paying and we are giving you services. That is the secret to reviving the downtown, but it has to be significant, including flowers.
Yeah, I think sparkly.
Otherwise, it will drift away back. What do you say?
Sparkly flowers.
Sparkly flowers.
Sorry.
So lights were kind of, it was, when we first started doing the holiday lights, it was really a big one-time spend. And we built a lot more budget into that first spend because we expected the homeless community to really be very disrespectful. And we actually found the opposite. There were only 3 problems the whole season, which was a miracle. So I think the ask is gonna be a lot smaller on the holiday lights now because it's just maintenance and upkeep. I think they are expanding to our block, Ernesto, so they're gonna be increasing. But really it's maintenance now, so it's not that $50,000 investment of lights that it was before. So it's a smaller investment and the investment could potentially be used more for expanding it because it really is disappointing to not be able to light the whole downtown core, but that came down to just manpower
Yeah,
and money.
and I will tell you, last weekend I was in Austin, Texas. 2 weekends ago, I was in Scottsdale, Arizona, 2 thriving towns. And I noticed they have permanent lights.
Yeah,
Because we have for Christmas. I think these guys should consider that. It adds
It is a big
safety,
factor.
that's, go ahead.
That's a big fad right now, doing year-round lights for different seasons.
But I like, you know, I mean, these 2 cities are very thriving cities, and I was like, wow, interesting. They have this.
We have not had the electrical infrastructure in place to do that and do wrap street trees or poles or anything, but that's something we're building out with the streetscape project. So bit by bit, it's, you know.
Now they're LEDs, so they don't use any energy.
We just haven't had any place to
Like
put them
that.
in.
it's, I mean, really the holiday lights sometimes are.
Yeah, it was.
There's a couple buildings too that just don't want to do it, so there's been, for the most part, there's cooperation.
We put lights on the top of the Rivers condominiums last year for the holidays. And the residents immediately said, can we leave them up year round? They look beautiful.
And
Yeah, I think it adds to the appearance of downtown being a thriving and beautiful one.
But it also add to security. I had security expert John Mandrill review my house, which is in downtown, and he advised me to put Christmas lights, and I still have them. So it adds sense of, hey, it's light here, let's not do anything bad.
Okay. Are we satisfied on 7A? Are we ready to go to the paid parking report? Okay, we're all still friends. This is amazing. Set of the paid parking report, Tori.
Peter's thinking, so this data, this is Kristen's report that she gave to the chamber first off, so credit to her. We won't go through the whole thing and while this is waiting to load. If you wanted to look at the raw data, I mean, as far as the report itself, it's the second last page.
Because the spreadsheet.
Go through it on the first page. Yes, I'm not gonna be. Yep, it's I'm not sure, sorry, you too.
Andy, what was that?
The last page, I know I'm skipping ahead, but the last page, is that year to date?
So the last page is, yeah, year to date for the,
Oh, yeah.
Our fiscal year starting
Top.
July.
okay, go back to the first page. And so it summarizes what you see in the spreadsheet on the second last page. So it shows the revenue coming in July, August, September. So July was the first month, so August was the highest at 209,234, and it shows the number of transactions increasing a little bit less in September as the total on that page. Any questions about revenue transactions? The nice thing about the data is that when you look at it, it has house paid, so it shows people are using the app, that's increasing pretty much every month. And it doesn't paid.
Coming in the middle of this, I have, on the projection side of things, was there an expectation that there's a seasonal variation?
That's what we want to see. That's some of what this conversation has been brought up when there's revenue. Of course, there's a lot of eyes on it. And, you know, we want to see that those resources being utilized. We can to impress the need for a baseline. You know, let's take in because most likely there'll be seasonality, but we don't know yet. We have some park information based on enforcement and things like that. So we won't know until we actually have a full year.
There's definite seasonality tied to summer events, like during the Ironman. That was a huge weekend, and so we've got events like that. Yeah.
You know, have to pay for the parking, all the infrastructure.
This is gross, this is gross revenue, this is just straight meter and now revenue. What we don't know is winter months yet, and are we gonna see a drop, or, you know, we might see an uptick as people that in the summer park in the garages and they don't mind walking because it's beautiful out, but when it's a downpour, they wanna park really close, so we might see things really stabilize or even go up a little bit. Don't know yet.
So just to keep in mind too, for budget purposes, we had estimated conservatively roughly 1.4 million anticipated revenue. So we're off to a good start there. The next page goes into the parking tax. So that's still going.
Which page is that?
The second page, sorry, so if you go back, you're
You're
back to the next page.
But there's still $100,000 owing, still
Right.
$100,000 worth of invoices if people don't forget it. Right?
What, I'm sorry.
$100,000 in parking tax, people just didn't forget, not paying. That seems like a lot more than that house paid.
Well, we also pay monthly and pay quarterly. So we have a lot that pay upfront annually, and then the others that it trickles in throughout.
I didn't know that they had paid monthly. Oh, okay. So it may not be as bad as it was.
Who makes the decision about, I know there's at least some media talk about this double taxing that's happening for people right now, or the perception of that. Who makes the decision about whether that parking tax gets,
Yeah, so that's some of the recommendations coming out to revisit in January. Sooner, but most likely you can do that.
Well, then once you have the December data, that'll be easier than to, yeah, okay.
Right, and right now, based on what I've seen, I plan as part of those recommendations to recommend that we start the sunsetting of the tax.
Cause that'll boost morale a lot.
Well, not only that, I think the increased profitability of some of these small businesses survive. Because we have seen a lot of very small businesses not surviving, and We got to promote commerce in downtown.
I would just say as your liaison to the city council, if this body has an opinion about how to treat the parking tax next year, the parking tax that's been collected, you should have that conversation among yourself in December or January and bring that opinion to the city council, because I think your voice matters. This is the body that's, you know, been created to discuss these things, and we can hear the staff's recommendation and we can talk to our constituents, but hearing from you would be important.
So I think what's,
Oh, just real quickly,
Go ahead.
I haven't, somebody showing up for another meeting in 5 minutes, so I just wanted to let you know in case you had any questions you wanted to get to me before I jump down.
so what we do have is historically on the record, it goes back to when Sharif Walgren was still here. And the phrase was the sunsetting of the parking district. And I always just assumed, maybe some of you as well, that the sunsetting of the parking district would coincide with when that number was hit, where there wouldn't be a lapse in revenue. Because we decided to overlap it to ensure there was no lull or no void in the revenue. So at what point do you sunset? What is that trigger? Because the fee, what I've heard on the street, so to speak, is that this, what Scott mentioned, this, oh, we're getting double taxed, and I said, oh no, the city's gonna work this out. Because I think it's something that you actually can quantify. And to Ernesto's points earlier, it really does provide a really great opportunity to educate people as well. To explain to them the sunsetting of the parking district, what that means, and then back to the services that are gonna be generated from this. So I think there's an information campaign in this with the city on education, and we saw the rollout of parking, and that was never gonna go great. But we're on the other side of that now. People, I think the morale has absolutely changed. And that was just a lack of maybe understanding of how it functioned, flowed, and
Well, the tax runs July to July.
It does,
June to June.
yeah.
So I don't like the word sunset because it feels vague and slow to me. So I would hope that we can communicate very black and white, very clearly, that we will not have parking taxes after this fiscal year.
So it's, it would be repealing the ordinance. So that's what we mean by the sunset process, is repealing the ordinance that has that tax in place. So that's something that, you know, our revenue collections have exceeded our projections substantially. We were directed by council to come back in January with an update on how everything is going. We've got a list of things that we need to respond to. And one of those is tied to the parking tax, and based on the data for the first 3 months, unless we see some just bizarre drop off, you know, in the next month or two, which nobody's anticipating. My recommendation would be that we begin that process of repealing the ordinance. And then that would occur over the period. Right, we just do that throughout, you know, the first part of 2026. So that it would be done and the tax would be history by the time we get to July.
well, I guess that leads me to another two questions. One's feedback based. One of the other feedback I heard was, what sounds like an administrative nightmare is, well, there should be credits back to the taxpayers in the district. So I don't know if that's something that's been considered. It makes sense to me logically. Although it's great to get a surplus when you can get it, but I think it would be, does that make sense about the credit comment?
It would be just a refund of taxes paid back to people.
At least for those who paid the full year in
Yeah.
advance.
Yeah.
Right, which most do unless there's the some
Well, I
that
chose
don't.
something because I was very optimistic.
Best decision.
But yes, I do decision.
Great.
Also, it's expensive. You know, so I think the better job that we can do of communicating, to your point too. And the sooner we can decide that and really communicate it, I think most business owners are fairly reasonable about it, Stan, I really do. If we can just tell them, hey, we are gonna be repealing this, you're on the hook for this year, fine. Next year.
How is that assessed? Is it by number?
What
part
it's the
So parking spaces in front of your building.
square footage.
It's not the parking spaces in front of your building.
It's not, it's the
Association.
number of customers based on your square footage and the type of
It's
business.
yes, type of business and the size of your space, and it can be offset if you have on-site training.
I misspoke on that. I'm actually assessed for more spaces than we have around. Just me. Because my service. I'd like to have that.
So the next question I had, and just it's a point of clarification, there's a line item on citations issued. My understanding is the type citation revenue goes towards general fund, it actually doesn't go into the parking
That's correct.
district.
Yeah, because it's for that whole process, which is courts, and so it's not just enforcement officers.
I guess I knew the answer, I just wanted to hear it. Cause it does make sense when explaining fully, so Tori, go ahead, yeah, keep going.
Okay, thank you. So. There are page numbers, so page 3. Gets into the. As we discussed last year, the parking survey, so there was a survey. Leading into the paid parking effort to see what the priorities would be. Rather than go through the next several slides into the breakdown and who responded, you'll see who the participants were and where they came from. So 877 total and majority of the visitors to downtown, so that's what that breakdown is.
So question on the survey. Is this, is it something that we're gonna do again December 25 or what's the?
I don't anticipate it's really
Yeah.
leading into, are you gonna do another survey
Yeah.
just to see how it's?
Yeah, we were asked to,
Okay,
so we will be doing one in December. I was gonna say, we wanna make sure you know, we'll probably have you for your next meeting, and we're gonna have to. Yes.
okay, well, excellent, that's it. Well, I knew I was going to lead into it to make sure that we understood what the interests were for the utilization of funding to help the board make recommendations, so.
Will we have that on that for the next meeting?
It won't be over by the time you're beginning. It will be by, I think it would be. I'm assuming the survey will end at the end of holiday season.
I see.
Well, bummer,
Yeah.
that there can't be maybe some questions about the functionality, like the troubleshooting sort of feedback. 'Cause
No, I think that.
again, it hates me half the time, and I wanna know if I'm the only one. I usually am.
You're
I
not.
think you're the only one, the only one.
I know.
I've worked at your place all the time, so.
Into my car. I mean, single it out. So, okay,
Overall,
yeah, I just sometimes just like it. Bring it,
Yeah, just walk.
yeah.
I love the idea of examining the functionality as a survey. So it's really great for that.
Oh, yeah.
You can have those questions, but I mean, it would make sense if we do some tweak to this, look at something exactly.
No, it'll be, I think, because it's like how to utilize it, I think it'd be, find more feedback on how's it going.
We're also paying a lot for that app. We talked about that. So. we want to be efficient, and it really is to their advantage.
I mean, the nice thing about doing it the same is there's no variation, you can do apples to apples, so that's a plus.
I think careful moving too far away from what you did before, because you wanna be able to see positive movement and change, we're the same, yeah. But it's always good to add in new stuff because there's new things, so.
And maybe the other one might be a later survey to see how parking is being received and how those services are then being delivered, you know? So maybe it'll be a different, I'm sure it'll be an information campaign and then a lot of information gathering. So I think, thinking about it now, since we're doing it too, I think it'd be a good idea to have it the same, because you wanna cut out any variable. So you can have some consistency and see, you know, that.
It should be on the kiosk. You can't park to answer these questions.
So on page 6,
Yeah, the respondents of this, it's an open to everybody thing, right? It's an open. Yeah, it's not a targeted, please go answer this.
no, we try to do what we can to get it out. We even went as far as posting it everywhere, downtown, so you could use the phone app to.
Yeah.
It's impressive how many people respond.
Yeah,
Definitely.
You guys did a great job.
Against Ansel, I think.
Okay, sorry.
So page 6 summarizes it, if you wanna go through the other pages, kind of sparing. movers and you guys, we went through it last year, but it goes through the breakdown and we participated and. But ultimately on page 6 is the prioritization of those. Revenue that's generated from paid parking, how would you like to see that utilized, and so security services, cleaning, streetscape maintenance, so again, it's reiterating a lot of the things that drove. Council to, and a lot of the conversation around Main Streets, Main Street Association. And it's not new, I mean. Depending on who you talk to, for me personally, I feel like downtown's great, I mean, it's great to see how many projects and everything's going on. And the activity with paid parking, it's a big shift for people, so it's been nice to see it. Utilized. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see, based on the polling that we had last year, as we go about it this next time, to see how that distributes.
So. Just understand timing, we're already in December, that's the first discussion for the budget for the next year, but then there's a second discussion.
Yeah, so we'll have,
January, April, and February.
I think our last one's February, so.
Okay.
But by then, it's really gonna be like final, so you'll have December and January, so hopefully by January.
So is it possible to try to push to have it by our January meetings?
The survey?
So we could at
Oh.
least have
Yeah,
that feedback to understand.
I think that's important.
absolutely,
That'd
absolutely.
be
Well,
nice.
we're gonna wanna be able to provide that to city council in January, so absolutely, yes. I feel confident about
Okay, great. Can I go back to page 2? The parking garage permits. So this just shows us since we started paid parking, what the dollar amounts are. What was June and May, and like, is this going from $5,000 to 50, or is this going from 100,000 to 50,000? You know, what's it doing?
What's the variance?
Yeah, what's it doing compared to what it was before? Cause I don't see that on the other chart.
You have the parking report, it's the last page, so yeah.
It's gotta be going up. With all the hubbub I've been hearing as well. Parking permits not that expensive, I'm just gonna do that. So. Theoretically,
It's
Yeah.
still more cost effective to permit.
Right. I guess is this,
So we have to look at it year by year, so, I mean, it shows, year to date, right now.
is this one aggregates them all
Right.
together?
Yeah.
Than monthly.
Right,
Is this data that you have that you could give us?
so this is provided to DAB, and so we should, we try to have it at every meeting, so you can look back at. This time last year to see what this report said. It should be the same report, the same numbers, but we could see about putting them together, charting it, whatever.
Yeah, I just be curious to see, and I guess it's not gonna change anything, but it's just. I understand.
Landfills are way more utilized.
Right.
And, I mean, I'm happy about that, but it makes it hard to find the green space.
Sorry, just to add, in the last year's budget, the Riverfront, Chemeketa, Liberty and Marion together raised $516 over the course of the year. So it's about $43,000 a month.
so it's up, these were in the fifties.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, it should be up, because employees be, or should, supposed to be parking there, and
Yeah.
put it on the street, right?
Last year, I wonder how much of that was skewed from construction downtown too? Cause construction workers are,
it was pretty heavy last
they're
year.
required to pay for those. So
I mean, I'm looking at the year over year budgets from our budget book and
they're all pretty in that range.
plus or minus 20, 30.
Get a little competition for that,
Each chalk.
That's when they chop your tire, electronically?
It must do electronically now, so we used to charge it.
know.
The parking services.
You get those little handhelds they walk around
I
with?
think it's just a picture, yeah,
Yep,
check your ballot, see where your ballot
they're
is.
saying that you were here so that they know whether or not, well, when it was 3 hours.
Yeah.
That's fine stuff.
So the other, we're going back to like discussion and complaints that we've heard from people. One of them is the dollar amount on the citations.
Oh, yeah,
Who sets those, or how does that get set?
those are
That's gotta be
part
what
of the
it is,
fee
yeah.
structure that goes through city council.
Okay,
And it's an interesting process, right, because we didn't change it for this year. Because there was so much parking changes happening. There's a lot of questions about what's the right thing to do, but.
Right.
Reducing it to close to the cost it would be for a daily spot doesn't make sense. Cause we're trying to encourage people to do the process, right? So I don't know that it's gonna go up significantly, but I doubt it will go down.
I will tell you, if you don't like parking ticket and sale and try to park illegally in work,
Yeah.
which I did. Again,
Yeah. Yeah, it's like,
and they get you like 2 seconds actually before your parking expires.
so
it's the.
You should be taking the train and then the bus.
Used to be, I don't think.
Let me think, I'll get back to you on that.
You might just pick the same way walk.
No, I drive, but I have my parking.
I see you running everywhere there, Lester, you're
Yeah.
always running.
So that's true too.
So, Tori, could you at least connect some dots for me? I'm trying to. There's the charts of the downtown revenue, the muni lot, our garage, so you get to the downtown total of 579. How am I reconciling that to anything above where it's based on total credit card collected and like where is this coming out?
Yeah, you only wanna look at the downtown revenue, the beauty lot and the north garage.
Okay,
Yeah,
so those are the only things directed to the,
and those will add to that, if you're looking on September, that'll add to that 203,000. That house.
okay. So from the gold line down to downtown revenue total is all that adds to there.
Those are the,
So what's the capital mall?
That's the capital. So it's separate parking, separate
They're
three,
outside, it's
separate, yeah, it's not the meter, it's metered for there, but not here.
Oh,
Not downtown.
Same.
but that all that money goes to the
Yeah,
same
it
fund,
is.
right?
Yes, because they said.
What?
All the money goes to the same fund,
no,
No,
Separate.
or does not?
no.
That was the general fund?
it goes to the parking fund, not the downtown.
It's the total credit card collected, that's what people.
No, that's not, ours is just between these two lots here.
579
Yeah.
over
It's
here.
just trans.
Oh, okay, I was looking at the wrong thing,
Yeah.
okay, thank you, good point.
Yeah, this report that we probably could get tweaked for this meeting, because it's not quite so confusing. This report.
I mean, it's good to have it, like,
Yeah.
for people who wanna look at it,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just. What I didn't wanna do is have it so narrow where you're like, where's the rest of the information, so. I knew there were a lot of people in here, so.
And these are public numbers, like
For sure.
anyone can just look on the website and find the website.
I don't know about the
We
website.
don't have it on the website, but we do.
It's on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry for the size too, if you got it on your lap, your computer or something.
And they do get posted on the page.
Cool.
May have
I have a question, does every parking ticket in the whole city always only go to the general fund?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll work that out.
All other tickets, yeah,
We're unruly today, you guys. This is good though, I like it.
I had to extend my parking.
Well, the city appreciates.
The city appreciates things.
Yeah.
I'm walking the walk.
Friggin' half
Right,
price.
yeah.
She's showing it in action.
So, is there any other questions on 7B on the paid parking report?
So I assume this is something we go forward, we're gonna get these scanned, so our next meeting in January, we'll have all these numbers and then. The April, which is after the quarter, next month after the quarter.
Well, December of the year.
Well, yeah, we'll have,
Well, we won't do it until something after the forest speech.
So we won't have any of this in the December meeting, right?
Well, you can reference it, we'll have a new report, Jim.
Okay,
Counselor?
Yeah, just to get for a little more context as well, this parking survey was take place in December of 2024. We also do an annual sort of Salem resident satisfaction survey, which we recently received those results of the city council. And a lot of this year, we asked folks a lot about their perception of safety and livability. That's, you know, sort of the theme of the stuff that we're working on. But a number that stuck out to me and I think you guys would find interesting as well is we asked people how often they had come downtown in the last month. And it was 85% of residents of Salem reported that they had been to downtown in the last month. And this is a statistically statistically valid sample of Salem, so plus or minus 4%. And I really felt like that was a big number. That's between 80 and 90% of people in the city have been downtown in the last month. So if you're a business owner, maybe you've got ideas about, was that really true? Or what does that mean that they've been downtown? But I think it does demonstrate people's connection to downtown, the potential to build on people's positive perceptions about it. So
That what you see on social media is fake news, because that's a really high number compared to what I thought it would be. So
yeah, well,
that's
that it stood out to all of us. And so I think I would suggest if you go back and maybe Tori can send the results out to the DAB, the PowerPoint presentation, but I think there's some really interesting things about people's perceptions of downtown and what we can use this additional funding to improve. So it's something that you guys can look at too and inform your decision.
I love that number, I think that reiterates the fact that downtown is the heart of town that affects everyone, even if you are far south Salem. You are affected.
Ward one, let me tell you what.
Number one for a reason.
All right, are we good? Move forward to agenda item 8? Okay. Next meeting topics.
So like I said, you'll have the chair and vice chair, and then for election, and then we'll start the budget. Is there anything else you want?
I guess I'd ask that to the group. Is there anything else or the topic for our next meeting?
It would be interesting to know probably year to date of URA applications and whether it's just kind of broad numbers, but understanding, yes, grant applications, like understanding how many people are applying, how much money is being asked versus what's actually been given out. To understand, and maybe it's not just grant, but it's any of the programs that you're doing downtown to understand. Because as we go to look to fund these things. Are they even being used? And, right? So so yes, so it would be good to understand all of that. That kind of part.
I have a question and I apologize if I'm new to the group. Under the agenda items from the minutes of the last meeting. There's the next meeting topics listed there, block 45 update, Marion Parkade update. Were those intended to be part of this meeting today or were those part of the minutes from July? So probably the updates in July. Okay, so those updates were provided previously, right? And we can update on that, but there's a little bit more information to check. Sure, I just wanted to kind of make sure I was following the trail of paperwork.
Well, thanks for pointing that out. I was not present at the July meeting. Yes, I see that here.
Is there any interest on the board about how parade went? Because I think it's the week or next week, our meeting will be.
I think, yes, I think in that invitation to Main Street, whoever wants to make that invitation. Or did we decide the city was gonna reach out, Tina? Tina, thank you. Probably more appropriate anyways.
And I still sit on the parade committee.
All right.
That'd be great.
One other thing, so we've had this before, but the amphitheater activities plan. It'd be nice to get some of that. Maybe in the winter time when the planning's happening for the summertime.
Okay,
So understanding a little bit more ahead of time rather than. I think the last time we got presentation was like halfway through the season and after.
Yeah. That'd be nice.
So to just to understand how to, from this group to be able to promote or, you know, whatever, how can we help to do that, so. That would be nice to have.
On that note, shall we connect with Elsinore Theater leaders and have their input, feedback or updates, because there's a lot of activity going on. And I hear, I even talked to some people from Portland who are coming concerts here, so I think they're a driver of activity.
The Grand is starting to push a lot of outside activity as well.
I saw a cat rock show.
Yeah, you did, yeah. There's some.
Played instruments.
I think the answer is yes, Ernesto. I think inviting, I think it's Tom Phone at Elsinore to invite him for the public comment would be a good healthy thing. And Eddie, you'd want to extend it to the Grand folks. I'm not sure who's operating that, but
Yeah, I just spaced their name, Hussey Brothers, Hussies, yeah. How could I forget a name like Hussey?
Hustlers.
Yeah, the Hussies are pushing a lot of big names coming to Salem.
well, I think extending an invitation for them to come to public comment would be healthy.
Do you guys wanna do it since you're inviting downtown?
I don't have a relationship with them, but I can.
Well, they just unveiled their new sign and everything as part of the historic features program, so, yeah, I mean, I looked out to them.
That was
You
awesome.
have the contact, that's cool, yes, thank you. I have Tom's contact if you.
So for next meeting topics, I heard from Kirk, the individual that's charged with the amphitheater. I also heard an update on applications pulled for urban renewal funds. Anything else? Okay, the urban renewal agency has so much power, and it's really healthy from a balance sheet standpoint. And it's really innovative, like if it wasn't for urban renewal agency and like the actual programs, you wouldn't see a lot of the developments that have happened around downtown. It is the difference maker in a lot of cases. So it's such a successful program, and it'd be awesome to look at how we encourage or advise upward, how we can continue being innovative and sustaining those programs. I'm not gonna get emotional, but, you know, I've got 2 TAB meetings left. No, it's been really fun. So yeah, I think downtown Salem in general has this momentum. And like you said earlier about competition, you know, I think there's just, the iron's hot, so however we create that engagement, so it's constructive. Because I left that Salem Main Street meeting about an hour into it, because I had another meeting, but I heard the remainder of the meeting was pretty feisty. And there's a lot of energy, so it's just how do we mobilize as a community in a downtown core for the commerce side and, you know, people that live as well, so. I'll step off my box, but
Can I just give one flag that the Merriam Arcade is going out to bid, the renovation is going out to bid this next week.
great,
So December or January, we will. I don't know if it'll be closed on.
great,
The activity's happening.
thanks, David, thank you. Wow, we're 6 minutes before our time, is there anything else for the good of the order, for the good of Dab's order? Okay, well, we are adjourned, thank you, everybody, council, thank you for being here, Dana, thank you.
Thank you.
That's